Some paranormal encounters are harmless. Some are misunderstood. But a few so terrifying that people who survive them refuse to sleep with the lights off, even decades later. Today, we enter a world where shadows crawl on ceilings, where cursed objects ruin the lives of everyone who touches them, and where entire families flee their homes in the middle of the night. These cases include real documented encounters and dark legends that refuse to die. So turn down your lights, close your curtains, and make sure you're truly alone, because tonight's stories don't just terrify, they will stay with you long after the video ends. Welcome to Mystic Lab. Today we dive straight into 5 encounters that blur the line between reality and nightmare. Our first legend we are going to explore takes place in the not so far 2012. A house in Mobile, Alabama, owned by the Jones family, was put on the market after something started stalking them at night. At first, it all seemed harmless. Small noises, footsteps upstairs, doors closing slowly on their own, classic halting signs, but nothing dangerous, until the night they saw it. The daughter, 14 years old, woke around 2 o'clock at night to drink some water. As she walked past the hallway bathroom, she noticed the lights were on. She thought it was her mother, until she saw the feet. Not standing, not walking, just crawling. A completely black human-shaped figure was crawling out of the bathroom on 4 legs. But the movement was wrong. The elbows, the knees bent the wrong way, like a human with broken bones. This thing didn't look at her. It didn't react. It just crawled silently across the floor, crossing the hallway and disappearing into the laundry room. The girl froze, unable to scream. She later said it didn't walk like a person. It moved like it wanted to be a human, but didn't know how. When she finally screamed, the entire family woke up, but the creature was gone. The next night, things escalated. Her mother woke up around 3 o'clock at night, feeling a cold breath on her neck. She turned around, nothing. But when she sat up in the bed, she felt suddenly that the room temperature dropped, and then she saw a shadow on the ceiling, crawling towards her. The figure stopped right above her head, limbs stretching unnaturally, long face pointed down. The mother started screaming and turned the lights on. The shadow wasn't on the ceiling anymore. She called the police immediately. The officer who responded noted strange behavior from the family. They were shaking and refusing to stay inside. He checked the attic, the closet, the basement, nothing unusual, just one detail he couldn't understand. Scratch marks on the inside of the air vents, too deep to be made with fingernails, but too small to be made with tools. He wrote in the report, "Family appears terrified. Something is wrong in this house." The Jones family moved out 2 weeks later, but the next family lasted only 10 days. They reported a tall shadow running across the staircase, whispering behind bathroom doors, scratching sounds inside the walls at night, and feeling of being watched while sleeping. One night, the father opened the pantry door and screamed. A black face was crouched in the corner, staring at him with hollow eyes. When he turned the lights on, nothing. The third family that moved in stayed only 1 week. They recorded a video on their phone, showing a tall, pitch-black shadow sliding across the kitchen wall and crawling up towards the ceiling. The clip leaked online for a short time, before the new homeowners demanded it to be removed. But a copy survived, and experts still debate whether it was a CGI or a real video. The fourth family, the last people to ever live in the house, left the most disturbing note taped on the refrigerator when they left. "Whatever is in this house, it watches us from the vents. It crawls at night, and we can't stay here anymore." They moved out at 3 a.m. without their belongings. The house sits empty today. Locals refuse to even walk near it at night. Real estate agents won't tour it after dark. Airbnb rejects listing it. According to former neighbor, sometimes around 2 or 3 a.m. you can see a shadow crawling across the upstairs window. Not walking but crawling. And here's the final twist. During renovation, a contractor found something inside one of the vents. A long, deep scratch mark. Inside it, a fragment of dark, glossy material. This wasn't wood paint or metal, it was something organic. This fragment was picked up by investigators and sent to the lab, but results were never released. Whatever was inside that vent wasn't supposed to be found, and whatever it was, it's something we were never meant to see. But what's even more disturbing than a creature calling on your ceiling is when something not human appears in broad daylight. Not to one person, not to a family, but to an entire school of children. Children who saw the same thing, drew the same thing, told the same story. Our next story is not a legend, but a real case. It didn't happen at night. It didn't happen in an abandoned house. It happened to 62 children, and every one of them described the same thing. It is the morning of September 16, 1994. A bright warm Friday. A private school in Rua, Zimbabwe is on its lunch break. 150 students are outside, playing, running, yelling, laughing. Teachers are inside in a meeting. Only the children are outside. But no one is prepared for what's about to happen. Suddenly, several kids stop playing. They point toward the trees behind the football field. Something metallic is floating above the bushes. Not a helicopter, not a drone. A silent silver disc about the size of a small car, reflecting sunlight like liquid metal. It hovers, then descends slowly, touching the ground. The whole playground falls silent. Then the doors open. A small figure, maybe a meter tall, steps out. Its head is huge, almost as big as its torso. Its skin is pale, its eyes black, oversized, almond-shaped. The kind that looks straight through you. The creature doesn't walk, it floats, drifting towards the children. Some of them start screaming. Some run, some freeze. One girl collapses on her knees, unable to breathe. Now the creature stops and stares directly at a group of 10 kids standing closest to the trees. The children later said the same thing, separately, without influence. They felt something inside their minds. Not speech, not sound, a message. Clear, loud, and overwhelming. Your planet is in danger. You must protect it. Technology will destroy you. None of the kids had heard of climate change at that time, and none had ever experienced telepathy that way. Meanwhile, a second creature appears, identical, with the same giant eyes. It glides behind the first one, observes silently, tilting its head mechanically, like a curious insect. The children say its movements were wrong. Not human, not robotic, but something between both, like a puppet with invisible strings. One girl, aged 11, said she felt like she was pulled forward, even though she couldn't move her legs. She couldn't scream, she couldn't close her eyes. The creature held her with its gaze alone. She later described the eyes as black holes pulling my mind inside them. When interviewed 20 years later as an adult, she said, "I still see those eyes when I sleep. They never blinked." Then, just as suddenly as they appeared, the creatures glide back to the silver craft. They turn without walking, as if their bodies rotate independently from their legs. The craft lifts off the ground, hovers silently, and shoots into the sky. No smoke, no flames, just silence. The entire event lasts about 15 minutes. The teachers come out of the building and find most of the children crying, shaking, yelling. The aliens came. They talked to us. They warned us. They had big eyes. All the kids talking over each other, pointing at the trees. Not one adult saw a thing. A local investigator arrives, then BBC, then Harvard psychiatrist Dr. John Mack, the world's leading expert in alien abduction trauma. He interviews the children separately, one by one, in different rooms. Each kid draws the same thing: the silver craft, the black eyes, the oversized head, and the same message. There is zero variation. It's like they all experienced the exact same telepathic encounter. Dr. Max said, "These children are not lying. They're not confused. They're traumatized by something beyond their understanding." The parents? Of course, terrified. Some began locking their children indoors. Others moved away. Even one teacher resigned, saying, "If those beings come once, they will come again." 30 years later, as adults, the witnesses still give the same story. Same craft, same creatures, same message, and same fear. Not a single one of them has changed their testimony. Some cry when describing it, some refuse interviews altogether, but one of them said she felt something that day, and whatever it was, it still has followed her ever since. Encounters with extraterrestrial beings are terrifying, but at least in Zimbabwe, the creatures came and left. They appeared, sent a message, and vanished back into the sky. But what happens when something doesn't leave? What happens when the beings don't communicate, don't warn you, don't observe you? They just surround your home, crawling across your roof, tapping on your windows, and watching you through the darkness like predators. Because our next real case didn't happen to one witness or to a group of children. It happened to an entire family trapped in a remote farmhouse. And what came for them that night wasn't human, wasn't animal, wasn't anything this world has a name for. It's August 21st, 1955. A quiet Sunday evening in rural Kentucky. The Sutton family, 11 people in total, are inside their wooden farmhouse. The air is thick and humid. No electricity, no neighbors for miles, nothing but forest in every direction. Around sunset, something strikes across the sky. A glowing object descending into the woods behind their home. They assume it is a meteor, but it wasn't. An hour later, the family's dog begins crawling. Deep, shaking growls, then springs under the house, refusing to come out. Billy Ray Taylor, a family friend staying over, walks outside to check the well. As he's filling the bucket, he freezes. At the tree line, two massive yellow eyes are watching him. The creature steps outside of the trees, 3 feet tall, long, dragging arms close to the ground, skin shimmering like wet metal, large, pointed ears, eyes round and glowing, legs bent backwards. But the worst part, it doesn't walk, it glides, silent, smooth, predatory. Billy Ray springs back inside screaming, "There's something out there, and it's coming this way." The adults laugh until the knocking starts. Knock, knock, knock. Soft, rhythmic knocking on the window glass. The grandmother looks outside and starts screaming as face rises into view. Huge, glowing eyes, a wide, stretched grin, long metallic fingers tapping gently on the glass like it's curious or playing. Lucky Sutton, one of the family members, grabs his rifle and bursts outside of the front door, only to find the creature crouched on the roof, staring upside down at him, head twisting at an impossible angle. The creature drops from the roof, gracefully, weightlessly, and floats toward the ground. Lucky fires. The bullet hits the creature with a loud and ricochets off its body like it has struck an armor. The creature flips backwards and falls on the ground, then rises again, completely unharmed. 2 more creatures appear, then 3, then 5. They move around the house like a coordinated pack. One climbing the trees, one crawling under the porch, and one staring through the window. The family retreats inside and barricades the front door. The siege has begun. For the next 4 hours, the creatures attack the house without violence, but with calculated predatory curiosity. They tap on windows, peek through cracks, slide across the walls, load from the roof to the ground with no sound. Lucky fires again, and again, and again. Every bullet pings off the creatures like they're made of steel. Nothing stops them. At one point, a creature reaches its long fingers through the screen door, almost grabbing Lucky's hair before he slams it shut and fires point blank. The creature stumbles backward and falls into the darkness, but then it returns on all 4 legs like a spider. Another creature appears at the window, its grin stretching unnaturally wide as it taps on the glass with its claws. By 3 a.m., the sounds fade. The creatures vanish into the forest as quietly as they have arrived. Terrified, the Sutton family gathered their children and flee in their pickup truck, driving with the headlights off afraid the creatures might follow the light. They reach the Hopkinsville police station shaking, pale and crying. This is where the story becomes impossible to dismiss. Police take them seriously. 4 police cars, the sheriff, and state trooper investigate the farmhouse. What they find makes them go silent. Broken windows, bullet holes in the walls, bent screens, claw marks on the roof, a glowing residue on the ground, and a terrified family refusing to go inside. Multiple officers report a strange shimmer around parts of the yard, like remaining of static electricity. One officer wrote, "Whatever they saw, they believed it wholeheartedly." The creatures never returned, but the family abandoned the house permanently. To this day, investigators believe the beings were non-human biological entities, interdimensional visitors, or metallic skin organisms never documented before. Whatever they were, they didn't want to talk. They wanted to observe. And bullets meant nothing to them. Extraterrestrial visitors are terrifying. Creatures surrounding your home are worse. But at least in all these cases, you see something. You see eyes, you see shapes, you see bodies, silhouettes, movement. But what if the thing watching you has no face at all? What if the presence is in your bedroom? It doesn't knock, it doesn't crawl, doesn't float, but simply stands there, perfectly still, in the darkest corner of the room. No sound, no breath, and no motion. Just a man-shaped shadow wearing a hat, staring at you from the edge of your bed. This story is not about aliens, it's not about creatures. This is about something older, something darker, something seen by millions of people across the world in their bedrooms when the lights go out. Welcome to the Hat Man legend. It is 1954 Hammersmith, London, a narrow row house on a quiet street. You know, that kind with creaking floors, old wallpaper, and a bedroom window overlooking the alley. A young couple moves in. Everything seems normal, until the second night, when the wife wakes up around midnight to the feeling of being watched. She opens her eyes and sees a tall, perfectly black silhouette standing in the corner of the bedroom. A man, but not a man. No face, no skin, no features, just a solid shadow, and on its head a white brimmed hat. She screams, waking her husband, but the shadow man doesn't move. It doesn't run, doesn't fade, and it doesn't flicker. It simply stands there like a cardboard cut out of darkness. The moment the husband turns on the lamp, the figure collapses into the wall as if melting back into the shadows. The husband insists it was a nightmare, but the wife knows what she saw. It wasn't a dream, it was something watching her. Weeks pass, nothing happens. The couple begins to sleep peacefully again. Then one night, heavy footsteps are heard in the hallway, slow and deliberate. The husband gets up, thinking someone broke in, but the hallway is empty, and yet the footsteps continue circling the bedroom door from the inside of the walls, step by step by step, low, heavy, and human. Then, on a cold January night, the wife wakes up gasping. Something is pressing against her chest. She opens her eyes. His back, the Hat Man, stands right next to her bed, towering above her. No face, no mouth, no eyes. Just the outline of a tall man in a long coat and that same white brimmed hat. She tries to scream, nothing comes out. Her voice is gone. She tries to move, her body is trapped, paralyzed. The shadow leans closer. The air grows ice cold. She feels breath, not on her skin, but inside her ear. She later describes the moment as, "He didn't touch me. He entered the room like he owned it. And in that moment, I knew he wasn't a human." Just as she feels herself losing consciousness, the figure snaps backwards, dissolving again into the wall like smoke. She screams. The husband wakes and sees the imprint of a toe shape on the wallpaper, a dark stain that slowly fades over seconds. He believes her now. They call a priest, they bless the room, they leave the lights on, but every night between 3 and 4 o'clock, the bedroom door fills with a dark shade of black, a shadow deeper than the darkness around it, a silhouette, tall, broad, motionless, and waiting. The couple eventually moves out, leaving behind furniture, clothes, everything except the memories. Decades later, in 2004, the house is remodeled. New tenants move in. A single woman lives in the same bedroom. Her first week is peaceful, but on the 8th night, she wakes up to a presence in the room. She turns her head slowly and sees him. Tall, black, still, wearing the same wide brimmed hat. He doesn't move towards her. He doesn't float. He doesn't crawl. He just watches. She turns on the light, and for the first time, the hat man reacts. He tilts his head slightly, as if it's curious, and then, without fading or disappearing, he steps backward into the wall and vanishes. The woman moves out the next morning. When asked what she saw, she simply said she felt like the hat man wasn't part of the hunting, but it felt like he was in charge of it. Shadow beings like the hat man are terrifying because they step into your room. They choose you. But there's something even darker. Something older. Something that doesn't come crawling from the ceiling nor stepping through your wall. It comes from your own hands. From something you bring home. Something you open. Something you touch. Because our final case isn't about a creature or a shadow. It's about an object, small enough to fit on a table, old enough to carry a century of pain, and cursed enough to destroy the lives of everyone who owns it. They call it the Dybbuk Box. It all starts in Portland, Oregon, 2001. Kevin Manis, an antique shop owner, buys a small wooden wine cabinet from an estate sale. The seller, an elderly woman, insists on one thing: never open the box that sits on a shelf. She tells Kevin that box belonged to her grandmother, a Holocaust survivor, who used that box to trap a Dybbuk. This is a malicious Jewish spirit known for attaching itself to people and objects. Kevin thinks it's a superstition, of course, a story to make the item more mysterious. But the moment he touches this box in his office, everything changes. His employees begin hearing footsteps in the back room. Lights turn on and off, objects fall off shelves. And every night, when Kevin is alone, he hears whispering coming from the basement. A soft male voice, whispering in a language he doesn't recognize. He opens the basement door, and the whispering stops instantly. But then comes the first physical attack. Kevin begins having nightmares. The same nightmare every night. A tall woman with sunken eyes and no pupils, standing over his bed. Every night, the same face. Every night, the same paralyzing terror. He wakes up with bruises on his arms, deep scratches across his back. Once, he finds a patch of hair missing from his scalp. He begins to suspect the box, so he decides to open it up. This was his second mistake. Inside the Dybbuk box, he finds a lock of hair, a dried rose, 2 ancient pennies from the 1920s, a small golden goblet, and a crude hand-carved statue with Shalom scratched onto it. He touches the items one by one. That night, his mother suffers a massive stroke. When she wakes in the hospital, unable to speak, she writes one word on a notepad: hate, and then points at her son. Kevin can't handle the guilt. He sells the box on eBay. That was his third mistake. The next owner wakes up every night to the smell of burning hair. His house fills with shadows moving in the corners. He hears glass breaking, but finds nothing broken. He returns the box with a note: take it back. I can't keep it here. Something is wrong. Then the box goes to its next owner. Owner number 3 keeps it for only 2 days. He hears screams coming from inside the box. He swears something bangs on the inside of the wood, as if it's trying to get out. He posts the box back on eBay at a loss, saying he wants anyone to take it, no refunds. The Dybbuk box now has a reputation. Collectors start calling it the most haunted object on Earth. Then it reaches its most famous owner. Zach Bagans buys the box and stores it in his hotel museum in Las Vegas. He invites Post Malone to see it. The rapper laughs at first, until Zach accidentally touches the box while Paul's hand rests on his shoulder. Within a month, Paul's private jet nearly crashes, his Rolls Royce is totaled in a car accident, his house is robbed, and fans report he says he's feeling followed. Coincidence? Maybe, but there's more. People who simply stand near the box report dizziness, nausea, and overwhelming dread. Visitors faint. One man claims he saw a shadow crawl under the box and vanish. When a rabbi was brought in to inspect it, he refused to touch it. He said, "There's something inside that doesn't belong to this world." Today, the Dybbuk Box remains sealed behind glass, surrounded by salt, and blessed regularly by religious leaders. Yet, even sealed, the Dybbuk Box continues to affect the people who stay close to it. Visitors report sudden chills, waves of dread, and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Some say the box feels alive, others even refuse to stand nearby it. And so it remains sealed, an object banned from ever being touched again, waiting for the next person brave enough or foolish enough to open it. Today, we stepped into the darkest corners of our world. Creatures crawling across ceilings, visitors with black eyes, silent beings surrounding farmhouses, shadows wearing hats, and cursed objects carrying ancient rage. Some of these encounters have evidence, some are local legends, but all of them leave questions no one can answer. Are these events supernatural, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or simply things our minds are not designed to understand? Maybe these stories aren't there to scare us. Maybe they're warnings, signs that our world is bigger, stranger, and far more dangerous than we like to believe. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching a video. You're part of curiosity few people dare to explore. So if you want more journeys into the unknown, mysteries, dark legends, forbidden files, tap like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell. It helps this channel more than you know. This is Mystic Lab. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, stay curious, and see you in the next one.